I don't know if it's a good idea to make this video or not, but this issue is genuinely depressing to hear about as someone who played pressure during Roblox events and with one of my friends. In order to cope with it, I think I should maybe put my thoughts out there, because this shit is not drama at all. It's a literal crime done by a notable individual that is being reported by their victim. On the 8th of April, a document was released that was detailing an alleged sexual assault done by the developer named YourFriendZeal to a music composer who worked with him named No Longer Null, aka Ren. At first I skimmed through the document, but then I decided to take the time and read the whole thing. Learning about what Zeal had been doing during Odyssey 2025 is straight up depressing. This guy was violating the autonomy of another human being. This is not something you can just forgive and forget. Now, before I delve any further, I'd like for you to read this document for yourselves so you can have your own thoughts in this whole thing. Because this video will be me giving a review on an over 200-page long document. I know that it is a very long read, but with a serious incident like that, if you're going to tune into it, then that's something you must read before jumping to conclusions or anything. This video is a review from me, and anything I say in this video is completely based on my own reading of the document. There's a chance that Zeal may not actually be as bad as Ren made him out to be, and there could possibly be things that do not add up at all. There could easily be stuff I have missed out, which is very likely to happen as the document is entirely based on Ren's perspective. If Zeal turns out to be innocent or anything, then I do not want to contribute to that slander at all. This guy took advantage of a girl emotionally and then proceeded to sexually assault her. That's what happened. I'm going to admit though, if I were in Zeal's shoes, I'd probably have failed to see that Ren was being victimized, especially due to the Fawning Response she has mentioned in the document. Then again though, it does not excuse Zeal's actions at all. This guy forced himself on a woman in her most emotionally vulnerable time. Besides, a victim of SA does not need to be perfect. They just need to be heard. I'm reading the incident again and it looks like it started off with assault and then continued with coercion. Having read up to what happened at RDC, I can attest that Zeal is not innocent at all. Like those Discord screenshots that took place and Ren's accounts are straight up incriminating. There is no way Zeal is getting out of that one. Like, compare that to something like the drama with Alex Kister. He was accused of being a creep who abused his power dynamics on his partner. That document that exposed him were just showing a bunch of screenshots of their relationship being shit. Alex Kister ended up providing context that was left out by the accusers. This document exposing Zeal? Ren did a good job at compiling all those screenshots and accounts honestly. She provided important context to her accounts and the screenshots within the document. You can tell exactly what picture is being painted in that document, and it's just really hard to even view this allegation as false. Like, you can tell exactly what the hell was going on prior to the assault and after it. Now, the important context behind this issue is that some of the developers for Pressure were aware of Zeal and Ren's relationship and had Ren blocked. Note, I say some because I do not want to mix them with the ones that were just contributing to Pressure and were completely unaware of this occurring at all until the release of this document. The ones that have been directly named are Ren and Kat. I'd like to clarify that I still do not know any of the developers of the game apart from Zeal or anyone else mentioned in the document. Now, Ren talks about the mistreatment from the team, mostly the framing of her being a villain by Kat in the tab after RDC. Basically, the whole team watched her crash out during the summer in a low point of her life, and then used it against her to antagonize her. So yeah, even before the assault, she was having issues with the other developers. Now I want to bring up something. I feel like it's going to be very disrespectful, but I really want to mention something and ask a question. In the general preface, she says you deserve to know who you are supporting. She says that you have a right to know who you are giving your support to, and what you do with the information is entirely your choice. She also attempted to take her own life and said if she had died, then you wouldn't have heard her account, and it would have been Zeal and his team controlling the story. With that info in mind, would you rather have Ren take her life and have that story not come out in the first place, thus having pressure continue on as it was before and being known as a great game in Roblox with a great reputation? Or would you rather have Ren report the truth about what the owner of Pressure did to her, killing the game entirely as people cut their ties with the game and seek to no longer associate with it? I will not judge you for your answer, but anyone with a good moral compass would go for the latter. Because, first of all, everyone needs to be red pilled. Everyone needs to live under the truth at all times, regardless of how bitter it is. We already live in a low trust society, so we cannot afford to continue riddling it with more lies. Second of all, it is about justice. People are complaining that their favorite game has gotten into some drama, and I can see some people seeking to desperately separate the art from the artist. One, this isn't something you should be calling drama. That is a straight up crime being reported by a victim of said crime. Two, how about you ignore the art and focus on the fact that a woman has been sexually assaulted by the artist? What would have happened if the former were to be the timeline would be Zeal assaulting Ren and getting away with it scot-free, all while he and his team covered it up and tell their version of the story, with Ren no longer alive to tell her tale? They would be building their success above Ren's grave. This is something you mustn't let anyone get away with. He ruined somebody's life and autonomy and used them as some sort of toy. And his team is also complicit to this as well by also trying to spin this around and saying it's Ren who's actually the assaulter. It's literally ironic how they ended their collaboration with Grace in response to the owner Simon and his girlfriend being exposed for saying slurs, which in my opinion is a big nothing burger, honestly, when they were trying to cover up something horribly worse the entire time. With all that said, Ren has the right to not forgive the likes of Zero. The audacity to go on about how you don't condone Zeal when you still have Ren blocked. I've read After RDC and my god, when Ren actually personally confronts Zeal about him sexually assaulting her, he kept going on about, oh, I did it as a friend. Like, holy shit. Ren was passively saying that friends don't do what he did, and all he can say is, man, I don't know, and oh, I wanted to do so as a friend. The least this guy could have done was take an accountability of his actions and apologize to Ren. But just seeing those screenshots, he just keeps downplaying his actions like actually. Dude sexually assaulted his composer and tried to play it off as it was mutually consented. This guy is the owner of Pressure, his passion project, and Ren was a music composer for his game. So in other words, what he did was sexually assault what's essentially his employee while she was in her most vulnerable state. And this isn't something you can deny either. The screenshots clearly show the picture that's being painted. Like, holy shit, it's heinous. Honestly, Zeal is just straight up narcissistic in these screenshots. Before, during, and after RDC. It kinda proves he is the most narcissistic and manipulative individual ever. This guy literally just treated Ren as if she was just some toy he has access to and was taking advantage of the fact that she was conditioned into trauma bonding. This is hinted in early signs in the form of older screenshots. This is a very serious thing to report on, and when shit like this is reported, There will be commentary YouTubers making a video about this in the most disrespectful way possible. These YouTubers make videos titled shit like, "The pressure situation is insane! The pressure situation is crazy! The pressure situation is disgusting!" Like, kindly shut the fuck up and kindly fuck off. A woman was allegedly sexually assaulted, and that's the type of video you're making about it. Don't you think it's insensitive? Ren literally said that this document is not a call out for drama and told you fucks to leave if you are here to treat this shit as your new episode of the Roblox dev drama TV show. And here you are making some parlo ass drama video out of it. This shit is not something you should be making a video out of for the sake of clout or money. This is a serious thing which Ren reported for healing. It's honestly a shame to hear that the developer of an amazing Roblox game was exposed for this. It's honestly a shame to know this. Pressure was an amazing game and was a game that shined a lot, especially in a time when Roblox is getting saturated with tons of shovelware-ass slop. What Zeal got exposed for not only damaged the reputation of Pressure completely, but will also damage the reputation of Roblox, especially with tons of issues Roblox had, such as how they handled predators and their terrible updates in the mix. People are gonna lose faith in Roblox because of this. Pressure was featured in 3 official Roblox events: the Hunt Mega Edition, and the Takeovers. It's such a shame that a game like that is run by an alleged sexual assaulter. Pressure's fanbase must have been very devastated to learn this. Even Ren acknowledges that in the postface of the document, saying that pressure matters to people, but says she won't stay silent to protect their comfort at the expense of her truth. And honestly, if Zeal truly did assault Ren, then that is something she must call him out for. Also, if you guys are wondering whether the allegations are true or not, keep in mind that Ren asked people to not talk about Pressure with her, and to especially not mention Zeal to her 4 months in advance of that document, because she doesn't want to be associated with him. Take that as you will. Keep in mind that this document is entirely based on Ren's perspectives of the events, and Zeal could possibly be seeing this differently. I genuinely believe Ren is a victim of sexual assault and was also coerced into it. I also believe, however, that with her being a victim of sexual assault, it is important to know what exactly was going on in Zeal's head. I believe both of them were suffering through miscommunication, and the fawning response from Ren made things worse, as Zeal mistook it for consent. I am not discrediting Ren for her fawning response, however, but I do believe it contributes to why Zeal was downplaying so much. Now, Zeal has acknowledged the allegation both on Discord and on Twitter. He claims that the interactions were mutual and consensual based on his perspective, and sobs about how private and sensitive information about their interactions was shared with people without his consent. His tweet got hit with a community note who called this out as a tactic of Darvo. Zeal then uploads a video titled "I Have Killed Myself," where he starts sobbing as a result of the allegations for an hour and a half. The video later got deleted but then got re-uploaded to archive.org and Google Drive. In addition, his mother also apparently came out to defend him, saying that the allegations are false and asked for the video to not be re-uploaded. She also said they'd be taking legal actions towards Ren. This account, nicknamed Zeal's Mom, was created on March 2020 and joined the server in February 2023. I cannot tell if this is actually his mom, and as far as we know, it could possibly be his mom's account, given that Zeal mentioned his mom's Pinterest with the same username back in 2024. And he probably logged into it pretending to be his own mom. I don't know what would be pathetic. his mom being on his Discord server and saying this to defend his assaulter's son, or a 22-year-old man going into his mom's Discord account and pretending to be his mom saying this. As for the video itself, I will be typing a text edit to annotate it and then screenshot it for you to read the list. This video is 1 hour, 33 minutes and 4 seconds long, so it's best to just straight up annotate it. You can simply pause the video to read each annotation I have wrote. Please bear in mind that this annotation was made solely through my own commentary. This video took me days to annotate, so I really hope it was worth annotating. I'm gonna keep commentary on it brief, but my overall conclusion to the whole thing was that it was a result of miscommunication between Zeal and Ren. Anyways, as I was annotating Zeal's video, 2 new documents relating to the incident was released. The first document that was released was from an unknown individual, which we will label as Person X, who featured additional content that was omitted from Ren's document. The document is made to fill in the gaps with related evidence. The next document that was released is a statement from Kat to bring clarity to some points relating to them within Ren's document and their personal experience with Zeal being inappropriate. The first document I will be reviewing is from Person X. Person X has apparently been mentioned in Kat's statement and was said to spread the rumor that Zeal's assault on Ren was consensual. Regardless, however, I believe this document has some truth in it because it literally shows screenshots that were omitted from Ren's document. The reason why a document like that cannot be dismissed is because it contains further screenshots of DMs that were not seen in Ren's document. Like, I believe it contains important context that just cannot be ignored. This document isn't from some random ass Moss girl or some Philippine shitskin who dunk on Ren just to defend her assaulter, who happens to be the creator of their favorite game. It provides some context and some form of evidence in favor of Zeal. The first thing I want to bring is the fact that a lot of these screenshots back up Zeal's account mentioned in his video, such as the talk about emigration and how Ren told other people about their encounter. Another thing is that it also showcases the DMs of Person X, I believe, with Ren, such as her attempting suicide. The most incriminating part of the document is about the hickey which Zeal gave to Ren. In those screenshots, you can see her priding around with her hickey. In Ren's document, she says those marks on her neck caused her distress and how she tried covering them with a concealer. However, in Person X's document, you can see her speak too enthusiastically about her marks, and with Zeal, she goes on about how she will wear them loud and proud. I honestly feel there's more to it than just fawning. There's also the Twitter screenshots between Zeal and Ren's private account, which Ren failed to provide due to her account getting suspended. These DMs are very NSFW, so viewer discretion advised. What I can say is the way Ren speaks in these DMs just don't really sound like fawning. I'm not necessarily a psychologist or anything, but it's something I'd like to bring into the next section of the video. I just want to remind you guys that as I was making this video, annotating Zeal's response video, Ren's document was taken down, so I will be providing 3 links to the text of her original document. Now, when I look back at Ren's document from a neutral point of view, something doesn't feel right. It becomes more easier to pinpoint some issues with the document. The first point is the fact that this is entirely based on Ren's point of view, and because of that, she will reinterpret screenshots and fit them within her own narrative. Like the narrative that Zeal was manipulating and coercing her. This is entirely dependent on Ren's perspectives of the events. You view the screenshots without any context whatsoever and you wouldn't tell that Zeal was actually manipulating. Like the patterns before RDC, for example. How are we supposed to know that Zeal is actually manipulating and coercing her in those screenshots? How do we know that it isn't just Zeal spitting game and Ren interpreting it as him manipulating her later on? Like, maybe we should consider that it is simply just Ren trying to shove down the narrative that Zeal's messages are coercive. Not just that, but also what happened in the hotel room. What happened in that hotel room is only known by Zeal and Ren out of the 8 billion people on Earth. None of them can actually prove what went on in that hotel. It's just a he said, she said type scenario. Then there's the fact that she has BPD. This is something she discloses in her preface, and something to keep account of. Because what if it's her BPD reinterpreting these events which weren't really that bad in reality as something different? I've heard of people's experience with BPD people, and majority of the stuff I've heard were not very positive at all. Now I know that this sounds ableist and generalizing, but when you think about it, generalizing is a good thing in a way. There's a reason to why were kicked out of 109 countries, and the shit they're doing to Palestine proves that generalization is a good cop-out against Jews and evangelical Christians, given they're the ones that support the parasitic settler colony, which America calls the greatest ally. What I'm saying is that maybe generalization is helpful to identify what type of people you're dealing with. Ren was being involved with Zeal, who has autism. Now a girl with BPD being involved with a guy with autism sounds like a recipe for disaster. Finally, the Fawning Response. Like, I'm sorry bro, but the Fawning Response feels way too convenient as a reasoning. It just seems like something which false accusers would use to retroactively describe every sexual encounter they had with the accused, so that the accused would have a hard time defending themselves. Cause what's the point of defending yourself and saying it's all consensual when the accuser could easily label every consensual encounter y'all had by saying they were fawning? Like, that's literally what I can see happening. And it isn't made better when you consider that Ren has BPD, and if you know what BPD people are like, then you can see what I'm going with this. There's also the Twitter DMs between Zeal and Ren where they were straight up sexting, and how she was flexing her hickey in the full story doc. When you take these two into account, then this issue just becomes more confusing as it's really hard to tell what exactly is going on. Because why would you be going zesty as fuck with the guy that assaulted you? Now this isn't a way to say that Ren is a false accuser and Zeal is innocent. I'm just saying all this as food for thought, and why you should hold your horse before treating Ren's document as fact. The first thing I'm gonna mention is that Kat describes their relationship with Ren before they had a fallout. This will become important in the document because it will highlight a later discrepancy which will be shown in the next section. The reason why they had a falling out is because Ren previously had a crush on Kat. But due to a lot of miscommunication between the two, Ren ended up blocking them because Kat had an attraction for someone else. I have not read Kat's statement until later on, and the things they had to say about Zeal is not good at all. If their statement is true, then that adds to the likelihood that whatever happened between Zeal and Ren wasn't really consensual at all. However, no proof of their word on Zeal has been published, given that they took the legal advice to withhold screenshots regarding their account due to fearing legal retaliation from Zeal's mother. Meaning that you have to take Kat's words as a grain of salt. Regardless though, due to them providing a screenshot from Zerum telling Zeal to keep the workplace safe and respectful, I feel like there is some truth in this. What's more important is Kat's account during RDC. What's been said is the fact that Kat knew that Zeal and Ren had a sexual encounter, but they didn't know it was an alleged sexual assault until Ren published her document. Person X, apparently the same guy that published the full story doc, is mentioned in the document to have received messages of suicide ideation by Ren. This matches up with their own doc. Now what Kat has said after RDC is that when they told Zeal they knew about his sexual relations with Ren, is that Zeal apologized to Kat and said he wanted to cut contact with Ren, as he was afraid that, quote unquote, everything would be exposed. This is not backed up by any evidence, probably because Kat is following the legal advice of not providing any screenshots. But if it's true, then that gives more evidence that the sexual encounter was indeed an assault. Then again, it could easily be Zeal being embarrassed by the encounter and not wanting it discussed. Kat also covers some additional points, and I will be going through 2 of them as they are the only ones that are actually relevant. The first point is the claim that Kat was telling people that Ren assaulted Zeal. They claimed that they did not do such thing, as it was only something which Kat briefly considered when Zeal messaged someone in emergency but disregarded, believing both parties consented at the time. Kat also mentions that they were told that Ren wanted to get someone drunk and to have sex with them. This is something which Zeal mentioned in his video, but Kat denied this, as it was only revealed that she was simply talking about drinking with another person. Then the next point is the claim that Zeal didn't know of the bad relationship between Ren and Kat. Kat debunks this by claiming that they explained their exact situation back in March 2025. In addition, with saying that Zeal is the one who told Kat that Ren didn't want it to be in the same place as her, as well as being the one who tried putting Ren and Kat in a makeup group chat. In addition, he was also told on the 11th of August 2025 that multiple people were uncomfortable with Ren, while also being told that Kat didn't want you to see her in RDC. This will be the last time we will ever hear of Kat, as they conclude their document by saying they will be taking a permanent leave from the internet, and also apologizes to Ren for the assault she endured. In addition, Kat also begs the readers to give their former co-workers a helping hand. With that said, this would probably mean that we may never see any evidence to back up Kat's account on Zeal, and instead have to rely on what is essentially hearsay. The only reason why I'm considering Kat's words is because one of their accounts is backed up by another individual. After I finished annotating Zeal's video, he released a document addressing the allegations. In the document, he claims that the interactions with Ren at RDC were consensual, and that Ren retroactively decided that their encounter counted as an assault when he declined to continue their relationship weeks after RDC. He also mentions that he got hospitalized due to a suicide attempt, and that he borrowed a laptop to type his response offline. With that said, I will be reviewing his document, but before I do so, I need to point out 4 issues real quick. The first 2 issues are something which Ren supporters bring up, but are straight up nothing burgers. I'm gonna address these issues and then discard them, since they don't mean anything against Zeal. The last 2 issues are straight up discrepancies that need to be addressed. The first issue which Ren supporters have is Zeal mentioning his autism. The way they paint is that Zeal is using his autism as an excuse to commit SA. This is not true at all, and Zeal is not using his autism to downplay or excuse his action. He only mentioned it to explain his struggles reading social signals, which seems to be demonstrated through a neutral lens of the situation. He also says he understands the concept and importance of consent, countering the claim that he is using his autism to downplay or dodge accountability. Besides, Zeal mentioning his autism is a stupid thing to mention, because Ren mentioned her BPD when accusing Zeal of those crimes. If Ren can mention her mental illness, why can't Zeal do the same? It really shows how people just straight up make up their minds so fast and do anything to discredit the accused. The second issue which Ren supporters have is where at the conclusion of his document, he says consent given cannot be retracted 6 months later. I don't get why people would have an issue with this. Maybe it is them viewing this purely from Ren's perspective instead of from a neutral or from Zeal's point of view. Which is how you're supposed to see it, given that it's the testimony of the accused. Maybe it's them viewing this within the situation instead of in general. Regardless, however, he is correct, and is delusional to think otherwise. Once consent has been submitted and fulfilled, it cannot be taken back. You can only take it away before or during the encounter, not after, meaning that sex or any form of intimacy you regret is not rape or any form of sexual assault. If you genuinely think that sexual encounter can be deemed non-consensual retroactively months later, you know what the guy that killed Hitler did to end World War II and give the Allies victory? You should honestly do what he did, to be honest. Because not only what you're saying is retarded, but straight up slanderous like dead ass. With that logic, anyone can be a retroactive rapist, which is straight up bullshit. You can't just have a sexual encounter and then say it was rape just because you regret having it. It doesn't fucking work like that, and you should honestly reset character if you think that. Now that we have these two nothing burgers addressed, we can safely discard them. There are two discrepancies to address in Zeal's document. The first discrepancy I will be addressing is the fact that he claims that he didn't know that Ren was not on good terms with Kat. This is during the 30th of August 2025, when Ren offered to buy Zeal gifts, but Zeal redirects it to Kat. Ren says that Zeal completely ignored the fact that the connection between her and Kat was severed a long time ago, to which Zeal says he didn't know that. However, this is said to be false by Kat in their own document, who says that Zeal did know that the two have fallen out, such as naming when Zeal told Kat that Ren didn't want it to be in the same space as them when they went to watch Black Mirror, when he tried putting Ren and Kat into a makeup group chat, and when he was told on August 11th that multiple individuals were uncomfortable with Ren. I don't know if this discrepancy will be a game changer in this situation, but I believe a discrepancy like that affects Zeal's authenticity in his account. If Zeal says something which witnesses could easily debunk, then that isn't really a good look on him. It gives off the vibe that he would lie just to make himself look as less incriminating as possible, which is quite risky because if he's willing to lie about that, then how do we know he is truthful with whatever happened in that hotel room? Shit like this kind of hurts his credibility. Then again though, Kat isn't necessarily credible because they don't really back up their accounts up with any evidence. Then the next discrepancy is Zeal omitting a screenshot of Ren explaining that he doesn't touch and do stuff without her permission. This is a major discrepancy that is brought up by Ren's supporters, and is a valid one to mention because a screenshot like that gives evidence that the sexual encounter which Zeal and Ren had may not have been necessarily consensual, and would look like Zeal was forcing himself onto Ren. For Zeal to fail to address this screenshot does not make him look good at all and makes things more incriminating in his part. Ren says in that screenshot that she was overwhelmed and went non-verbal, which matches up with her own testimony of going non-verbal. This is something which Zeal needs to address, because by omitting that screenshot in his own document, it is a major discrepancy that is being used against him by Ren's supporters, and also suggests that it wasn't as consensual as he makes it out to be. However, this could be Ren saying that it was just Zeal going too fast. With that said though, these are only two discrepancies, so let's now review Zeal's testimony. These are just two discrepancies in his document. I probably should have looked through what Zeal has to say first before looking for discrepancies, but oh well. Now we need to see what Zeal actually has to say about the allegations. Remember, we only heard one side of the story. Now that we heard Ren's side, we need to hear Zeal's side. This is important because if the accusations are false, then that means we ruined an innocent man's career, reputation, and gain for nothing. If we are going to destroy someone's livelihood like that, we need a good reason to do so. Like I have with Ren's document, I will be giving a personal review of Zeal's response document and just comment on it. You can check the document for yourself in the description of the video. Going in the full response tab, Zeal says that Ren's document contains numerous accusations and highly biased interpretation. Whether you think that's true or not is up to you, but given the fact that Ren's document has been carried mostly by her own narratives of the event, it makes sense for why Zeal would think that way. What Zeal does in the document is bring clarity to the stuff Ren accuses him of, such as some minor things that happened before the alleged assault, which Ren described as the patterns before RDC. The most important part is his testimony on what happened in that hotel room which Ren was staying at. His account of the event is different from Ren's account. Ren paints the encounter as non-consensual, but Zeal paints a completely different picture, saying it's consensual. Also, that Google Doc comment he allegedly made, he confirms it by saying that it was supposed to be a joke that there'd be a report about him being shit at sex. I'm not sure if I should buy that or not, cause who the fuck makes a document saying somebody's bad at sex? Keep in mind that the only two people in this world that know what happened in that hotel room is none other than Zeal and Ren. And because of that, only these two can testify what actually happened. With that said, Ren paints this encounter as an assault, while Zeal paints it as this happened in the moment type sexual encounter. The main thing that happened was Ren asking for a kiss, which is something Zeal mentioned in his video before he got hospitalized, and something that he brings up in his document. This is important because that's a discrepancy in Ren's document, because she never mentioned this at all. In fact, she said that Zeal forced his tongue deep into her mouth. However, this claim seems to be contradicted by details she spilled in a song of hers that she posted on YouTube only to delete afterwards. I will be linking that song in the description, and 2 minutes 15 seconds into the song, she says the following line: "I asked for just a kiss."
I asked for just a kiss.
With that said, I think it's safe to say that this part of Zeal's testimony is indeed true. He also says that Ren was smiling, laughing, and giggling too during the encounter, which if true would change everything, because that would set the tone that it wasn't assault at all, but rather just the two being strangely intimate with their sexual encounter. This is a big account from Zeal, and it is a claim that conflicts with Ren, as this is not mentioned by Ren at all. What's even more of a game changer is the entire Twitter DMs between Zeal and Ren. This is something which Ren dismisses as her hypersexuality. This is not something which she mentioned in her own document, but what she mentioned in her Discord server after Zeal posted his counterclaim. It is important to note that the reason why Ren didn't provide the Twitter DMs was due to her account getting suspended. Honestly, I don't buy her hypersexuality excuse, because why didn't she mention that when she mentioned sexting with Zeal in her document? Also, the Twitter DMs feel very incriminating against Ren, because a lot of the stuff she said there implies that the encounter was consensual. She says she's really glad that Zeal cared a lot and didn't try anything uncomfortable with her. She complimented the way Zeal kissed her, and she went on about caressing her body when Zeal cummed on her. Whether or not she was fawning seems very debatable, because it is essentially Ren's words, versus Ren's action. I remember saying that if I were in Zeal's shoes, I would have fallen for Ren's fawning response, and if that's how Ren fawned, then I do not blame Zeal for thinking it was consensual and being very upset that Ren accused him of assault. Especially when in those DMs, Ren was the one losting off to Zeal while dude was being the most monotone nigger ever imaginable, like come on. Anyways, if you want to view the DMs, then I'll just link Zeal's document in the description like I have for Ren. Remember that video of Zeal's which I annotated which served as his suicide note? He mentioned 3 discrepancies which were omitted in Ren's document. This document allows Zeal to elaborate more on those discrepancies. The first discrepancy where Ren asked for a kiss has already been addressed. Then there's the discrepancies of Ren telling people about their encounter. Zeal says that Ren asked for lube after a friend of hers suggested so when she told them about their encounter. This is not backed up with any evidence, however, due to it being done in person, and Zeal being told by her friend later in a call. What is backed up is Zeal confronting Ren about telling people about their encounter, which has already been seen in the previous document. Overall, seeing Zeal's testimony and getting a bigger picture, I believe that this situation is more of a matter of miscommunication, and I believe it's very apparent in this document. I don't really know what else to say other than it being a big miscommunication between Ren and Zeal. One fails to properly send social signals, and the other fails to properly receive social signals, and I think miscommunication is a big key factor in this. Will, a major contributor of Pressure, posted 2 documents relating to Ren and Zeal. I am not going to review them in this video because this video has been going on for way too long and I honestly just want to end it. What I'm gonna say is that if Ren was right about one thing, is the fact that Zeal's social circle is filled with opportunistic people. Like honestly, her second document is just her throwing Zeal under the bus over behaviors which she reciprocated as well, like come on. Ren has said that she will be releasing a revised document, which will essentially be an improved version of the document. It is important to note that as of late May, she has yet to release this document, and the people that have been staying tuned into the discourse have been constantly demanding for the release of the document till this day. Will she eventually get to releasing her revised document? I am unsure, to be honest. I'm more so waiting for Zeal to get discharged from hospital and settle things with Ren, because that's when things will reach its climax. And as I had this script written out, Zeal's mom has announced in the Discord server that Zeal has been discharged, and they are pursuing legal action to clear Zeal's name from the allegation. Besides, it isn't like the revised document is gonna add anything new to this situation or be a game changer unless there was some sort of truth nuke in it that reveals shocking information against Zeal or some shit. A lot of the stuff that wasn't revealed in Ren's document has been revealed elsewhere. With most of this story reviewed, it's time to conclude it. To go soft on Ren, maybe she genuinely believes she got sexually assaulted and because of that she wants to hold Zeal accountable for it. Or maybe she just wants to believe she got sexually assaulted out of her hatred for Zeal and an excuse to ruin his life. Honestly, I have a hard time believing that whatever happened was an assault because of the fact that her document is essentially narrative reframing in addition to not just the Twitter DMs, but also the fact that she bragged about her sexual encounter with Zeal to other people despite Zeal telling her not to do so. There's instances of Ren being enthusiastic about their encounter. My conclusion is that Ren is a clinically unstable Freud who accused Zeal of sexual assault as a result of getting mad at Zeal for slowly cutting her off for being toxic to his friends. And that allegation is a variant of a rogue team member destroying a group project. I say this because a friend of mine barred me from whiskey because he believed I was too unstable to work on it. He told me about his experience with unstable team members, and it all reminded me of Ren. The reason why Ren brought this to Twitter instead of the courts is because Twitters are the most gullible and the most polarizing retards out there. And so once the Twitters side with Ren, there's nothing you can do to change their minds, because these mentally disabled fagoids lack critical thinking. The main reason why I even started making this video in the first place is because I wanted to view the allegations against Zeal and reflect on it personally. I wanted to comment on the allegations and send you guys a message. But this situation descended into a rabbit hole, so in addition to my initial message, I also gotta send another message. I'd like to admit that I had a history of being a weirdo, not reading the room, and overall making people uncomfortable in general. And I fear that one day the weird shit I used to do would eventually come back and bite me. Especially if I ever become a big name. When Zeal was accused of such thing, I thought that it was the result of his failure of reading the room and receiving social signals from Ren. I wanted to send the message to not be like Zeal. Especially now with allegations of him acting inappropriate with other contributors to his project. When Zeal got accused of these things, I had a fear of becoming like him, getting into deep shit because I'd unwittingly violate someone's boundaries or would get involved with someone that failed to communicate their boundaries. Now with even more information in mind, I have a fear of becoming like Ren due to her instability with her friends and in stuff in general, like group projects. I want to send a message to you guys to not be like Zeal or Ren. You like someone and you get into some sort of relationship with them, communicate your boundaries and respect your partner's boundaries. This is extremely important. And when you're in a friends group or taking part in a group project or any activity, behave yourself. I failed to do that in certain spaces and that fucked me over bad. I hope for you guys to not do the same. Another message to send is whenever an allegation against an individual appears, always stay neutral regardless of how credible the allegations can seem. Whenever an accusation is made, only one side gets revealed and the other side needs to take the time to respond to these claims. Wait for both sides to give their story and analyze them. Innocent until proven guilty. This is the very stance which needs to be mandatory. Especially with examples of false allegations against people like White, Slazzo, Pyrocynical, Alex Kister, Turkey Tom, George Not Found, Dream, Mewtwo King, Mr. T Lexify, Tobuscus, Inquisitor Ghost, etc, etc. Jumping the gun like that is very harmful because regardless of how much info is revealed in the initial allegations, you don't even know what more there is to the story. Is it important to support SA victims? Absolutely. But it doesn't mean you should jump the gun every time an allegation happens, especially with all the examples I've listed. You must always hear the other side no matter what, and then take their testimony into equation regarding their allegations and paint the picture for yourself. As you've seen from the first part of the video, I genuinely believed the allegations and fell for the story Ren was telling. Do not make the same mistake I have made by immediately taking these allegations as fact, and instead wait for information to arrive as time passes and the situation plays out. It is the most responsible move to just wait it all out and then reach your conclusion. Finally, a message to Zeal. Zeal, I apologize for jumping the gun and assuming these bad things about you in the wake of the allegations. When you posted that suicide video, I knew there was more to the story which Ren left out, and that Ren wasn't really correct about you being manipulative. But at the same time, I didn't want it to seem like a rape apologist. All I hope is for you to sue Ren's ass. Her instability with the relationships with you and your peers, which led to her personally attacking them in the document, breaking her promise of making that revised document to clear things up so she can sweep that whole allegations under the rug, means she must be held accountable for it. She ruined your life, your career, and your passion project, and she must not walk scot-free for doing shit like that. She is the reason why your friends left you. Take that filthy fucking mentally unstable, clinically ill, manipulative and deceitful Sandvoid to court so she can actually testify whether you actually assaulted her or she was defaming you. This will serve as a warning to future false accusers. Do not negotiate with terrorists, Lego boy.